Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to another episode of Fomo, episode 192. Can you believe it, folks? Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Folks, it was an amazing Labor Day weekend in Chicago. Sun was shining. It was 80s and sunny. A little bit of a touch of fall weather, just an absolute gorgeous one here in the Windy City. And then I spent a decent amount away from the screens celebrating my daughter's 4th birthday. That was a big one. Came back, catching up, and it's wreck timber all across the board. I'm sure we'll get into it on today's show. No Farouk. Farouk's still out gallivanting around Asia, but we've got Mando and Logan on with us here today. Mando, GM, how you doing? How was your weekend?
Yeah, God, we didn't speak yesterday, did we? Everything's great, man. How are things for you?
Very good. Son's first day of kindergarten today, so that was a big one. We got him all dropped off and ready to go. It was fun having him home. I was running daddy daycare along with the show duties here the past few weeks, but it's nice to have him back in school. But it was a nice weekend. Excited for him and my daughter's back up and running as well. Logie, Jim, how are you doing?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm doing well. Weather was perfect here as well. Not much going on in the market, so okay to disconnect for a bit if you're up for that. Excited to hop back into it though.
Are you following the U.S. Open, and have there been any big surprises?
Of course, I'm following the U.S. Open. There have been many big surprises over the course of the last week. Carlos Alcaraz out in straight sets, Djokovic out in 4 sets. It's been wild. But we're running into some real good tennis here for the duration of the week. It's a good time to be a tennis fan.
How American Tiafoe, am I saying it right?
Yep.
How's he looking with some of the bigger dogs out?
Okay. His draw's okay. He's going to miss Sinner, which is huge. So he plays later today against Grigor Dimitrov. A chance to make the semis again. Yeah.
All right. Well, that will be a big one. Folks, what are we talking about as we recap Labor Day weekend in the markets? We're going to start with Mando Market Report. Rec Timber is here. We've got Pump Fund hitting their $100 million revenue mark and spawning a new competitor, Ethervista. What the hell is Ethervista? We'll talk about that. FTX's $16 billion bailout package is coming in Q4. What's that going to mean? We've got Base adding 3 million users per month. What is going on there? We've got Xcopy and Egg leading the NFT board. Some of the big NFT weekend. Rec's actually looking pretty good as well. We got Zynga. They got CTO'd over the weekend. And we've got Predict.Fun going live today. We're going to talk about all that and more. Plus, we've got the Rollbit spins at the end of the show. So make sure you stay tuned for that. As a reminder, retweet the spaces, follow all the hosts to make sure you are eligible. And then shout out to our new Galaxis. Galaxis is a no-code Web3 platform that empowers creators and communities to become owners. Check out at Galaxis XYZ on X or Twitter. We are very excited to have on board. Well, all right. With Mando, let's get into your market report.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
GM, everyone. So yeah, it was Labor Day yesterday. Everyone else was at work, it seems like, but crypto had a little bit of a stronger day. We'd had, what was it, 9 straight days or 8 straight days of down in Solana. Bitcoin had gone all the way down to its lowest point in the last 2 weeks. Looks like Tyler has frozen slightly, but no, you're back. ETH had gone, has been slightly outperforming actually. ETH had been doing slightly better, at least for the last few days. It feels as though we're headed a little bit lower today. Stocks have opened a little bit lower for to start the month. I think a lot of people are expecting a weaker month here for crypto. It seems like that may be well flagged just because of the previous correlation to weak September's. I don't know what you read into that, but it feels as though people are positioning for that at least. We started today with open interest going higher. everything kind of staying at the same price, which normally indicates that shorts are being added. Open interest is creeped up quite a lot as Bitcoin's gone down from 63K to kind of 58K. So maybe we're still in room for a short squeeze, but I don't know about the market here. I have to say that I've been in JLP for a long time. I have been slowly considering moving that position basically back into Bitcoin, just because I feel as though I'm most bullish about Bitcoin right now, and I'm a little bit unsure about activity. It feels as though activity is we need a new Ponzi really for everyone to get really bullish on, and that seems to be drifting away with meme coins. And I think it might take a little bit more time for that craziness to come back again. So I think Bitcoin's looking okay. I do think that the L1 trade is still looking a little bit precarious here. There's been some return back to ETH, and with some of the NFT stuff which has been going on, and what we saw with some of the memes with Ethervista. So maybe ETH slightly outperforms here, but it does feel as though in general, I don't know if you've seen, but Coinbase is back down to like 480 on the app list. The Google search for Bitcoin's at like a multi-year low again. It just feels as though I'm bullish on Bitcoin, and I find after that I get very, very unclear where to put it. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling going into this. In terms of like any like big new news, it's really Korean blockchain week, and then we've got Solana Breakpoint next week. In 2 weeks. I think they after token. I think there's going to be some announcements around Solana. There's already some announcements already, which don't seem to be their big ones, but Mert has been flagging that they're going to make some huge ones over the next few weeks. I imagine one of them will definitely be around Fire Dancer, and then we'll see what the other ones are around, to be honest. The main thing around
we're going to need some announcements with this price action on Solana. And you were talking about the unlocks coming.
Well, it's something I just picked up on because somebody else was tweeting about it this morning, and I was like, I thought they were more linear these unlocks, but they seem to be very front loaded. It looks like about I think it's like 1.5 billion or around $2 billion of dollars worth of unlocks, maybe even slightly higher than that, happening in that February, March, April period. You know, that's not a small amount for a chain at 75 billion. So, or 60 billion even. So I think that will, a lot of people will talk about that. Like, be prepared for December ETH Maxis to be absolutely hammering Solana for this. And I reckon there could be some, and I think the main bullish thing here was that Solana is just beasting everything in terms of volume, users, left curve stuff. And if that doesn't pick back up again meaningfully, then I do think that becomes quite a powerful narrative. It's something that I believe a lot more in crypto is bigger than any other market. Like when there are no knowns about supply in other markets, they often don't lead to as big a price swing. But when you get these like big indigestions of supply coming in, like we've seen with Bitcoin, maybe even with what we saw with like Jump and ETH, right? It does take our market is quite small. When you have that much of a net seller or a net buyer of something, it can really affect the price. So it's something that's really on my radar right now, going into the second half of this year. Like I just said, or going to the final quarter of this year, is that I think Bitcoin's got a really strong case. I think we're probably going to have to wait a few more months before people go full left curve. And I think a lot of people did come in with that meme coin, or at least some people came with that meme coin thing. I don't know what we're going to sell them in the next 3 months for them to like desperately come back in so that they can gamble. Maybe it's NFTs, but I feel like I don't know if that's like last cycles as well. Like people might not believe to come back to start trading NFTs again. And so you're really resting on like the long-term drivers of crypto, which I think like things like payments, tokenization, maybe some of the broader DeFi protocols, but those feel like a slower cook for me. So you can see it, right? Ansem's tweeting about Rollbit. He's not tweeting about memes. He's there's a return to like this sort of like DeFi style coins that we're talking about or coins which have good burn and look cheap on a burn metric and that sort of stuff. That doesn't tell me that you bring in like all your mates. So that's kind of how I feel about the market right now. We had a big talk about it, me, Yovi, and Ben, who's like the other partner at Canary Labs this week. Just kind of what to play now for the second half of this year. And I think we all kind of conclusively said that the only obvious one was Bitcoin, and then after that it gets very, very unclear.
There are no obvious trades right now. I would tend to agree with that, and it feels like we've kind of totally reset all the bullish energy from Q1. Like you kind of mentioned it, like Coinbase is down to 480 in the App Store. The trends are down. It feels like interest in crypto is low, has been in quite some time, which is interesting because it feels like it's such a bigger topic, like in this election cycle. So this was part of it, is making it's so surprising, I guess, to me. Well, we've got the one somewhat bullish, maybe it's bullish catalyst. So FTX, I saw the $16 billion that they are owed to their I want to say it's the users of their platform, that is coming in Q4. So I think that is perhaps one.
That's a really bullish case.
Yeah,
I think the biggest bullish things that are coming here are global liquidity going higher, and the election, and FTX. Those are like the big ones in terms of like liquidity coming in. But I think honestly, I still think that most of those go towards Bitcoin than the others. Maybe FTX gets like more meme coin style stuff going crazy again, but you just don't know. I feel like it with that one.
That makes sense. So we're in September. Are there what are the big key macro events to watch? So we've got, I think FOMC is coming up September 17th, 18th. I want to say. Is that pretty much it for this month? Do we have more major items to look out for?
This is the final FOMC before the election. There's one very soon after the election, and I think it's really just like the rate of cuts. So the FOMC they are going to cut rates, but it will really be, do they do 50 bips? Do they do 25 bips? Do they do 25 bips and then indicate they're going to do 2 or 3 more by the end of this? So that'll be the main thing, the rate cut cycle. And I think we'll probably see rate cuts also come out of UK, France, not Japan, but like most of the other major central banks will also be moving towards cutting rates. So you'll pretty much for the rest of this year, you'll probably see every other week some central bank around the world cut rates. That's kind of what we're going to be in. And I think we're going to be in that. I think global rates are going all the way back down again. I think they are. We're going to end. I don't think we're going to see money printing in the same sort of way, but we are going to see global rates come down significantly across the board, pretty much in every major economy. So I think that will be the thing that people will be looking at, and then probably just, are we going to head towards like a recession, or is it going to be a soft landing? Will be the main thing. So I think any bad piece of economic data as well will be taken pretty badly by the market over the course of this rate cut. Like the main thing will be here is we're going to go through a rate cut cycle now for the next, let's say the next 18 months. And we really don't want the economy to fall off a cliff. So I think also there'll be a lot of focus on rate cut data. Whereas interestingly, sometimes when there's been weak data up until this point, sometimes the market rallies because they assume rate cuts are coming. We know rate cuts are on course now. Now it's just really, do they knock off the market in between?
Right. And historically, Q4s of election years are historically good. So we'll see if that pattern repeats itself. Walter Bloomberg tweeting out this morning that Citi is laying out its case for the Fed to do the 50 bips cut here in September. All markets still not really pricing it in. So they just still have it at 21, just a 21% chance of 50. So with this now just 2 weeks away, I think we'll see more on.
They should have cut rates in June.
Market and what they do. Yeah,
they should have cut rates in July, in my opinion. 50 bit rate cuts are pretty aggressive, just as they don't often happen. Like they really, really don't often happen. It shows that it would almost be an admission of guilt from the Fed that they kind of screwed up, because they've had ages, absolutely ages, to cut rates, and then to go say that they're going to do 50 bips on the first one, that would kind of indicate that they were too late to it. So I reckon to save face, they'll probably do 25 bips, but they should do 50. Like inflation is low. It is low, and rates are really high. So if they're just looking at that metric, they should cut it more aggressively, in my opinion.
Yeah, I still like the 50 side of this. We'll see what other data we get in the next. Logan, any reactions to any of the macro chatter that we've been talking through? We'll get to Ethervista here in a minute. What's top of mind to you, and any reactions from the long weekend?
Yeah, nothing crazy. Just personally, some excitement about the FTX potential repayments. There might be a rent check in there for me as to potentially reap back something I thought was long lost. But nothing crazy for me. Like I said, these things aren't shifting my opinions on a daily basis. Just kind of expecting at this point more boredom, more chop, in both directions for the foreseeable future. I hope I'm wrong. I always hope I'm wrong in that regard, but I'm going to remain kind of held down to a certain degree for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, makes sense. Like, look at the meme board. I think WAG is really the big winner that's jumping out. Let's see where they're at. So I guess they're giving back some gains now, but they hit, I want to say they hit 90 million. WAG at 90 million here. Yeah. He gave quite back. That seems to be the one getting all the attention. We saw some decent action in like the 20 to $40 million range. Snoopy had a nice day getting in, but again, the above 100 million meme market from 3 to 4 weeks ago, that group has taken a pretty big hit.
Dude, have you seen Nero?
Oh no. I've been purposely not checking on to figure. So like, which one's the Nero that ran up high?
Nero on ETH.
Is it really at 43 million?
I don't think it's even that one. That's not even it, dude.
Okay, that's not it.
Keep on going.
No way. Is it 35?
Yeah. No, not even that one. I don't think it's even that one, dude. Seriously. No, it's not that one.
Which one is it?
It's the one at 24.
Oh my God. All right. So Nero on week, this coin hit 250 million. Yeah. It hit 250 million.
It's 300 million.
Okay. Hit 300 million.
And then it's gone down.
And after shilling it nonstop, and he's been somewhat shilling on the way down. Oh my gosh!
Now they need to get some new teeth.
The Bubble Mats team, they were pounding the table on the insiders controlling like 70% of this token.
Well, everyone knew that. Like, I don't think that's like a surprise. I think everyone was just hoping that they would all. What this actually tells you is the state of the general meme coin market, even from a KOL perspective. Like, if KOLs are like jumping over themselves to sell something, like that is just bad. How do you fumble like a 300 million? Like, that's not.
I can't believe it was this fast. Oh man! So I'll be honest. I haven't even really been tracking this one. That's painful. So now the question is will Ethervista, the shiny new pump fund competitor, Uniswap competitor, we'll get into that in a minute. Will that perhaps inject some new energy into the ETH market, or perhaps will it do the opposite? So for a quick TLDR here. So it was a big weekend for Pump Fund. Pump Fund hit $100 million in lifetime revenue. So a huge milestone for them. At the same time, they have a new competitor launching in Ethervista. Its native token, the Vista token, did soar to a $25 million market cap. It was one of the bigger winners over the weekend. It is tied to this ETH protocol. So what is it? As I understand it, here's how it works. So users can create their own coin contracts. Ethervista does not do this. Ethervista does help with the token launches. They provide users with LP tokens from their own native DEX, and then the users get to decide whether to burn those LP tokens or not. And then they do have within the DEX these hard-coded buy and sell fees that go to the LP and the coin creator. So I've seen some folks call it a pump fund competitor. I think because of its native DEX, I've also seen many compare it to Uniswap more so than pump fund. And the DEX is important. This is where they use a portion of the fees to auto buy and burn that native Vista token. And I saw this morning, I think 2% of the Vista tokens have already been burned. So we saw some nice price action on Vista, though, it's giving a lot of it back here. So the Vista token ran to close to 30 million on, let's see, early or Monday afternoon. It's down about 50% since then. So that's a little bit of some disappointing price action here into Monday with such a pullback from what seemed like an exciting launch. And then you can see on DEX, the Vista coins, the Ethervista coins all had this multicolored Ethereum symbol so that you can quickly see them. Not a single additional meme over a $1 million market cap. So it doesn't feel like this one's really generating a whole lot of winners. Just Vista Dog was briefly a winner yesterday, and we see it's down 84%. Not great. Logie, I'll tee this one up to you. Did you play around with Ethervista this weekend? Did you see or any early reactions here?
Just been messing around with it off to the side, trying to learn how to navigate it, which is proving challenging in my opinion. It's kind of got that retro 90s Microsoft type thing, which I've done on purpose here. And it's not, I don't think it's easy to understand exactly what you want to do. Far less easy if you want to compare it to Pump Fun. I mean, far less easy than Pump Fun in terms of finding something to participate with. Maybe the launcher here is similarly easy because there's a tab that says launcher. But it's difficult. I think you nailed it with pretty much some morph version of Uniswap plus Pump Fun. And I'm all for the innovation here and the cool, instant auto buyback, burn the token, like all those weird tokenomic wrinkles that introduce some level of innovation or a culmination of different things we've seen from other protocols into one. That's cool to me. But this is difficult thus far for the user, at least in my opinion. Of course, maybe I'm far too dense to join the Ethereum DeFi community, but a lot of work would need to be done, in my opinion, for the easy onboarding to make this go as haywire, perhaps as they're hoping to make it go.
Yeah, I'll admit this is one of my first times playing around with it. So there is really no discoverability that I'm seeing in this platform, and perhaps again maybe we're missing it. I'm not seeing that at all. So I guess now that makes it seem more comparable to Uniswap, where you have to have the tokens already to come in and do the swaps. So I guess, Mando, did you play around with this at all over the weekend? Any initial reactions from your side?
No, I mean, I followed Jingtao, and I woke up in European time, obviously, and he was still tweeting about it. I think he'd put an all-nighter until 3 a.m. Jingtao has been called the Ansem of Ethervista. So he was involved in a lot of the early coins. You will know him. He's come up a few different times. I think he's got on his 5th account or something like that. But he was involved in Vista, and it hit 15 million when I woke up. And he was I think he posted that he made 150 grand or something like that. And then it went all the way up to 30. I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, this could go to 100," and then 30 is the new 100 in memes. That's basically what it is. So I don't know. Are ETH Maxis or are ETH people who really want to? Are they going to carry the ETH the Memecoin torch now? I feel like everyone's. This is kind of what maybe to take a step back. I felt like 6 months ago I could tell friends in a non-crypto friend group, hey, you should get involved in these memes. A lot of them are doing crazy numbers. I don't know if I can make that pitch to a lot of them right now. And I think that's like,
No.
that's kind of a big change for me. It feels kind of like, do you remember last year or like 18 months ago where although some really good memes were created, like Mog was at 20 million for like 6 months, right? Like, and it couldn't break out. Like it went to 30, sold down. So I feel like we're maybe in that sort of period where it's a bit more PvP. You got to get the all chart for that one. It's a bit more PvP. Everyone's idea of what's a good upside here is probably less. That doesn't mean they don't come back strong potentially when Bitcoin goes to, really starts to get going maybe. But I feel as though, I don't know, maybe that's the next month, maybe towards the end of the year thing, and deciding which memes will be really strong will be it. But someone said, so why not buy now and wait it out? I think you can. I'm just trying to tell you that I think we're in that sort of period. It's a wait out sort of period. I wouldn't be buying into FOMO. Like even Flog, right? Like Flog's done incredible to get to 90, but you kind of know that it's also going to get smashed down one day.
It's hard.
Right?
It's very hard to buy at this level. Just because every soul meme that's done this run the last 2 months, like Billy. I'm trying to think of other, like Billy's back down to what, like 20 million or something. So like, you have to just be so fast. And you're right. Like I wouldn't tell a normie friend to buy a meme right now.
But that wasn't the case 2 months ago. It might come back as well. Like these are, I think Anthem also said the other day, not to be quoting too much, but he also said this is the time to find 100x's. I do think that this is also the time to find 100x's. Like people were talking about Mog and did basically did like a close to 100x, right, over the course of the last year. I do think you got to find the coins which have a good community or look like they're going to be multi-cycle and probably have been smashed lower, and think, right, well, yeah, this could be a really strong one.
Interesting. This is the time to find 100x. Well, certainly we've got the coins beaten down. Logan, I guess wrapping up the Ethervista conversation, are we going to get the 100x's from Ethervista, or is this going to be more of a flash in the pan? What do you think?
Not if they keep naming every stupid token Vista X. Vista. Like that's the other part
It's
of
like
this.
the rune slots.
Like why? Why so bad? I mean, it's tough to come up with something off the name of Vista. So I mean, that's there as a roadblock to begin with, but could have come up with some better memes probably.
Let's just read these memes list real quick. So Vista printer, Ether pasta, Vista dog, Vista la vida, Viva. That one's okay. V MILF, Wojak, which is a Wojak Vista version, Vista coin.
They're so
Vista
bad.
Papa. It's a rough list.
Yeah. I don't expect, at least of those that you just mentioned and listed from the deck screener, I don't see 100x out of those unless they've already hit them, at one point and retrace, which I don't believe has happened. But I'm not writing it off just yet. I feel like I read from Sammy from Mocha. I was reading his thread he broke down the thread on Ethervista as well. There's an unlock. The first unlock is tomorrow. Which may be impacting price a little bit. So I'm not throwing this away yet. Like
the first unlock is like 5 days after the thing launches.
I think that's part of the thing. Yeah, it's like they did apparently some analysis on rug timing happening in the first 2 to 4 days or something. So 5 days is the unlock period.
Wow.
So I'm not ready to throw it away. I need to learn how to find stuff there. Maybe I need to find the Ethervista KOL accounts as well.
It's just one. It's just one.
Yeah, it's Jingtao. If you want to trade Ethervista memes, maybe put him on notice. I think my only takeaway on this is I feel like one of the bull cases for Ethereum memes is that there were far fewer than on Solana. You didn't have the pump fund equivalent on ETH, so you didn't have the velocity. So perhaps it was a little bit easier to pick. So actually, I don't know if this is net good for the Ethereum meme ecosystem, but certainly we'll see. In ETH ecosystem news in the L2 front, So this some base numbers caught some attention over the weekend. I actually tweeted about this a few times yesterday. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I saw a Milk Road tweet and then dug in a little bit, but apparently base users, and I've got users in quotes here, are up to almost 14 million active on the monthly. That is up, folks, from just they were 4 million back in at the end of May or in June. So effectively, they had 10 million users in just a handful of here. So it question marks in my head of what are they all doing? Who is this and why are they here? Some thoughts, but Logan, maybe I'll toss this one back to you first here. Did you see this? Do you have any read on what might be happening in the base ecosystem to drive 10 million new users?
Yeah, so just from your tweets, Tyler, and some discovery of just a little bit beyond that, no real clear read, as to what that is. Of course, we saw some headlines last week about AI agents starting to transact on Base, right, with each other. You have the Coinbase wallet connections and the easy onboarding to Base from Coinbase, which has 100 million plus users as well. So it doesn't necessarily strike me as odd or strange that the numbers would be like this. But it also just doesn't mean anything to me or matter too much to me personally. I'm not super excited at the number or the growth of Base at present time as an active user in Web3. Nothing is still compelling enough to get me over there and get me active on anything at this point in time. So it doesn't mean anything to me. I guess if you're in a different cohort of users, like if you're an active DeFi person, maybe more active users monthly, of course, increased TVL, those types of things matter to you more. As just a general participant, this doesn't matter so much, aside from the fact that, maybe it's time to start paying attention to the things that are being built on top of Base, which, again, I have not seen too much at present time that's got me super, super excited.
Yeah, I'd say I've got a similar read there. So I put this out there. I got a lot of replies. At first, no one really knew. It seems like consensus is it's either large scale Sybil farming or perhaps it is, bots, maybe even the start of more AI agents being spun up. Which is, if that is the case, I think that is somewhat interesting. Does kind of raise the question of, how do we think about users at all going forward on these chains? Another factor is this bull stock? So is Wall Street's going to see that Base grew 10 million monthly actives in their next report? Is that something that perhaps moves the needle? Mando, curious if you have any thoughts, reactions on these Base user metrics kind of going around here.
I just think it's all bullshit. Yeah. That's basically what I think. Coinbase is a US-based platform generally. If there were 15 million users on Base, I think we would know them.
We would know.
So I think there's something going on here, which is that they are clearly bots of some sort, or it's highly non-economic actors. Looking through this, part of the value seemed to be from MEV, so that would be bots. Part of the value seemed to be from Zora, the NFT platform, of which you had a mass minting function. So maybe you're just getting tons of wallets being created for different very low value mints. And then you're also seeing 95% of all Uniswap pools are happening on Base, but there's no Base meme coin season. So what is going on?
Exactly.
I think there's a lot of there's just not a lot of value going on there, but it's maybe, as in not a lot of, I'd say, customer facing value, but it's probably a lot of different wallets being used for maybe very small, low value economic transfers, or maybe settling things on an L2 in some way, and then being bridged back to the L1. I don't know, but this is a fake. This is a fake concept to have 15 million users. And that's not FUD to Base. Oh, we've lost him. We've lost him. He's dead. He's gonna have to come back. Yeah, I don't mind Base
this year. Man, sorry, I lost you for for a second, so I jumped in for the spaces.
All right, no worries.
Connection issue on my side, folks. But I think what jumps out to me again is like they were chopping around 1 million actives into March, and then explosion really happened in April. It shot to 4 million. Back, let's see, actually jumped to 3.6, back down. And then it really has taken off here in the last couple months. So like, why? I understand that they're not real users. Like, why are people even spinning up the Sybil bots to do this? Because that still takes time.
Some people have said that there's going to be a massive airdrop down the line. Like Coinbase may go down this route, particularly after the next election. So maybe it's that. Maybe that people are hoping for a Q1 or 2025 airdrop, something like that. They've obviously said several times they're not going to do it, but where do you think Base as a token trades? If BNB trades at 100 billion and Arbitrum trades at 6 or 7 now, right? I don't know what Arbitrum trades at. I think it's probably in between those two, right? Like it's not quite an L2 because it's so centralized and things can be built directly into Coinbase for like settling and for security, but it's still got kind of maybe the ceiling of that L2 ETH narrative. So I reckon that's probably like a $40 billion coin. Like it's probably like a ton, like maybe ton plus, maybe like that sort of, which I think is, that's worth doing some sibling for.
So I think 20 billion was the number in my head for roughly where I would put a base token to start. I could certainly be convinced higher.
Yeah.
And I guess why not start to farm that if you think there's any potential for it as well? I mean, certainly a lot of us did that with some of those NFTs in the past. Luckily, perhaps it'll be a bailout for us FinTech power users and all of those base transactions. Those are real transactions, by the way, in decent size. Maybe we'll get bailed out from that. So that'll be. It's still a very interesting narrative to watch in this market where there's not really a whole lot else going on. We've got about 10 minutes left in the show or so. Logan, maybe switching gears, talking NFTs a bit. On the week, it ended up being kind of roughly a red week for most of the majors, but we got a runner over the weekend with this egg NFT. So what's the story here? Are you following this one?
Yeah, a little bit. So the CryptoKitties account has started to push more and more content about this, but it seems to have come from the CryptoKitties / Dapper Labs, some of those original participants. It's an egg NFT, and I believe it's going to take part in a Telegram game. I can't remember what it's called, All the Zen or something like that. I was trying to mess around with it this morning, and all I got was there's like a 45-day timer and a couple clues, and I just didn't have the keys to unlock the riddle or whatever to get in and play if it is active at this point. Interesting to see this have blown up the way that it has, especially given whatever the narrative around NBA Top Shot and Dapper Labs. Think of them what you will. They've built successful NFT projects, so it's just interesting to see another one come from them that's unrelated, seemingly, at least in some way, right, to those others. People are yearning for this. People want to play the game. People want to have the FOMO. So it doesn't surprise me to see an NFT mint, especially one that was really, really cheap, run up. Sustainability of such, especially one that has like execution points and clear execution risk if there's a game attached. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the coming days. I would not be buying, personally, wouldn't be buying a 0.3 ETH. Not a chance. 0.01, 0.02. Okay. Yeah, you can convince me to buy something there.
It's a little trickier to buy here. I would agree. I think what I didn't quite realize, I watched this loosely over the weekend. I wasn't really online or trading much, but I missed the fact that there's only 3,100. So that makes the run make a little bit more sense. Doesn't require quite as much buy volume. But I mean, when's the last NFT mint that you saw go 30x? Can you even recall one?
No, I cannot. Not at this point in time. 30x. I mean, maybe like a random Solana NFT, like a super cheap one. I'm not sure, but
probably
nothing of
were
like no.
on Solana, yeah. I mean, so on August 31st, that was Saturday or maybe Friday. Yeah, that was Saturday. Saturday afternoon, and you could have bought these still at 0.01. And then, yeah, legit 30x. Seems like you could have bought them in decent size. So a nice win for anyone who was around. But then, Logan, so there's a Telegram component and there's a Flow component. These are going to be on Flow. Is that
no, I'm sorry. I just meant coming from that team, the Dapper Labs Flow connection. I don't know.
I saw this from ICO Beast this morning, and this may not be confirmed yet, but he says he posted an eggs update. He was kind of publishing all weekend. He said it looks like they're doing something on the Flow blockchain, but then there was also this Telegram component. I guess wouldn't be a huge surprise if they did something on Flow, but yeah,
no. I mean that would make the most sense actually for them to do something on Flow, given that's their blockchain, right? And that's where CryptoKitties, was supposed to be moving. I'm not sure if they're all the way over there yet, or if that move ever actually took place. So yeah, that would make sense.
But would that kill the momentum of the ETH NFT?
I would personally say yes. I don't know.
I would think so as well. Not a whole lot of action on Flow. We saw Doodles just bridge off. But we will see. It was a fun story from the weekend. In other NFT news, we saw Punks. Punks are back down to 27.5 ETH. It looks like a Punk whale who scooped up like 100 of these back in 2021, paid pretty high prices. They had been taking loans out on MetaStreet. It looks like they let 20 Punks expire. So those 20 have been sold off here over the weekend. That drove the floor down about 10%. So we're back to 27.5. Kind of killing what had been a nice week for Punks. And then perhaps the biggest surprise story, this broke late Friday. So perhaps a couple days old now, but Sugartown, Zynga's NFT, they got CTO'd. The community has taken over Sugartown. They say the future is now. Welcome to D20 Labs, led by their founders, M. Wolf and Tommy Ingo. They've acquired all the products and assets under Sugartown from Zynga. Now they are moving full steam ahead to create the future of rewarded play. If we look at the Sugartown Aura's price action, the market did not love it. So they are down about 27% on the week at 0.125 ETH. Logie, I'll toss this one back to you here as well. Did you see this news? Any early reactions to the Aura's CTO? Or is this a bullish CTO, bearish? What's your take?
Oh man, no disrespect to those taking over the project, and their ambitions here, but this is bearish to me. The big thing surrounding Sugartown, at least from my perspective, and I feel like the market's perspective, was Zynga's connection to this, right? This is a major gaming player, a major potential onboarder, and it seemed like they're committing notable resources, to a Web3 game. And less than a year since launch, right? Maybe about a year. I think it launched last fall, and they've already kind of washed their hands of it, and and pushed the assets outside of Zynga control. Doesn't feel great to me. I don't really know what to say. I mean,
yeah, that's fair.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We don't want to sit here and beat a dead horse. Wish the team success. I think it's a little bit harder to see the upside. I think it's kind of bearish for Web3 gaming. If you remember Q1, I mean, one of the biggest narratives in NFTs in Web3 was Web3 gaming. We had the Prime token taking off. I think that was driving a lot, helping to drive a lot of the action. But it seemed like that narrative has come to fruition here so far in 2024, and now big players are exiting. So I don't know that is a great sign. But we saw some decent, let's see who were winners on the week. I want to look for our rec guys. I want to Rec guys up. I saw them hit 0.5 or close. They got there just grinding up over the month. So nice movement there. Those wrecked drink points are starting to make a splash. Did you see the Yuga workshop news that broke late Friday, Logan? I thought that was kind of a bombshell that Garga dropped somewhat casually on a Friday. And has that changed your perspective on Yuga?
I've been bearish Yuga. I've been outspoken about not feeling like I would ever really buy one. Man, my opinion is slowly changing. I think that was a really interesting thing, dropped in a kind of a Friday afternoon, and we're heading into Ape Fest in about a month, I believe, right? Like something real cool could be coming pretty soon. So that's really exciting to see that, they've shaken off some of that corporate feel, right? That was very much part of when he took back over what was going to come, or what he suggested would come, right? They get back to the roots of kind of like, F it, let's send shit. So I'm really curious to see what comes out of the workshop, what types of things this team could be working through now that they've kind of maybe re-embraced some of that. And then you also, of course, have Ape Chain and all the potential incentives that are coming there. Some cool stuff could be coming. I'm at this point in time, I'm not fading them. I wouldn't necessarily be shorting apes at this point in time. I'm still not, of course, ready to make a super bullish splash buy of an ape. I don't have that level of connection, but they're turning me a little over the course of the last few weeks. Not quite DeGod's level, but they're turning me a little.
I've had multiple people ping me in the last month asking if ApeCoin is a buy. And I think if you want to lay out what are scenarios where ApeCoin can rally again, I think you need Ape Chain to be successful, and you need to have good apps. I don't know that we really saw the path to that until Garga laid out this workshop idea. So they've got a team of 13 who are some of their best people building apps, and they've been kind of running and testing them out internally and having product workshop days in-house. I think you have to be happy about that as an ApeCoin holder. I don't know that I'm racing out to buy it, but it's it's 60 cents. It's still at 359 million market cap.
I don't think the Ape Bored Ape team, Yuga Labs team, they like ApeCoin. Like I even remember trying to speak to who did I try to speak? I tried to speak to Gordon maybe before he quit. And I remember asking him about it, and he was just like, "Oh, we don't even speak to those guys." Like, I actually think that there is very, very little communication or planning between the ApeCoin team and Bored Ape. And I think if I'm sitting there and I'm Garga right now, that's just one of the other bits of baggage where I'm just like, you know what? No, that's not my responsibility. That was a free airdrop for everyone. People made money. They can work out with the stuff that we're doing if we can integrate it. It's kind of the same as the other side. I think he's just going to leave a lot of this stuff behind and just focus on the Bored Apes themselves and creating some fun stuff around that. So I think literally the only asset to buy in Yuga is Bored Apes or maybe mutants, because I think they also have some culture as well. But yeah, I would be very, very wary buying non-Bored Ape Yuga Labs. Well, apart from punks, obviously, but
yeah, I support that thesis as well. I think that makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't want to touch anything else. Nothing else even stands out as why would you, except for downstream effects that, Bored Apes would get first anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe mutants interesting here. So mutants historically traded at closer to 5-1 apes, if I remember correctly. So they're sitting at 6-1, perhaps an interesting little swing trade. But Bored Apes over ApeCoin, you heard it here first, folks. I think that's a good roundup on our NFT segment. I think that the last story here for today, I'm not sure if I've got a tab up before, but let's pull it up. So predict.fun is finally set to launch on Blast today. They've been kind of ramping up the marketing hype over the last few days and week. They launched their Discord yesterday. They announced yesterday as well that they are going to be paying for users' gas. So gasless transactions. So now I think the pitch for Predict.Fun, if you were trying to make it, is you've got the native yield on Blast, you've got gasless transactions, and then 879,000 Blast Gold going to market makers. So in theory, they should have somewhat decent liquidity on their leading markets. I think there's still a lot of open questions on what's the UI going to look like? Will VPN be required? Actually, on the Nifty show this morning, they were talking about perhaps VPN not being required. If that's the case, I think that actually is a leg up over Polymarket. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pull that off or not. So we will find out later today. I saw the launch coming for noon. I think this is the biggest story in the Blast ecosystem right now. So you've got Fantasy Top, which hit another local high in trading volume over the weekend. It's kind of bringing hype back to Blast. You've got Pac-Man fully behind Predict.Fun. I think we can expect him to tweet about it somewhat frequently here in the days and weeks to come. Prediction markets are as hot as ever. Bridging to Polygon is kind of a pain in the ass. Like we've talked about on this show. Like it is not the most fun onboarding process. If a Blast app is able to make that process easier, and they've got decent lines, I see the upside. Logie, we talked about this in depth on Friday, so I don't want to rehash that entire conversation, but any additional thoughts with what you've seen on Predict.Fun? Do you think they're going to be able to take some market share away from the behemoth that is Polymarket?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm really excited to see what type of markets come out kind of first day here. Remember Bet, the Drift protocol over on Solana, has a lot of those differentiators, like the onboarding's a little bit easier, those types of things, right? But only a couple markets for folks to participate in. So, is it going to be cut and paste same markets as Polymarket? I'm not sure that's the best way to steal, even with the incentives, but I'm interested to see. I joined the Discord. I actually just re-scrolled through it. There's nothing like of note at this point in time. There's a couple channels for like markets and market proposals. I didn't really see anything in there in a quick peruse, but I will be ready to potentially participate for sure. Let me see what the markets look like. Let me see what types of markets there are as well. Is this they're going to go super degenerate, kind of weird, like almost like mention market-esque type stuff and only that? Are they going to try to be super legitimate with like only presidential election, like top high quality type liquidity markets? Those are the things that are, I think, jury's still out on, of course, that I'll be interested to see later today.
Yeah, the primary election, that's a letdown. As a user, I've got no desire to go and bet more on either of these election markets that have been, maturing for several months on Polymarket. Of course, unless they're significantly different. And then like if there's an ARB, I could see that driving volume. But I think for them to win, they need to be keeping up with the breaking news in the new daily lines that Polymarket is running out right now. These mentioned markets, like what will Trump say during a Lex Friedman interview? That's got a $120,000 bet. A lot of these rallies that we've seen generate $500,000 to seven figures in action. Like they're going to have to run out lines like that on a daily basis for them to be able to compete in any way with the volumes, I think. Maybe that's not what they're going after, at least from a fun perspective. If they're just going to run out all the state lines and let you park liquidity there, I don't know that that's going to attract a whole lot of users other than perhaps whales looking to clip a few extra points of native yield. But that option will likely be out there. But we'll certainly see. So happy for them. It is launch day. I've got the launch time noon Eastern. So coming up here in just a few hours. So we will report back on that tomorrow. As for today's show, folks, I think that is a roundup of our top stories. Got word from the booth. No Rollbit spins today. We will return tomorrow, folks. The reason for that is in-house. We've been working on a better spinner picker tool to avoid botters, multi-counters winning those Rollbit spins. So we've got a solution. We're going to be rolling that out tomorrow. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for those Rollbit spins. For today, though, that is it. That is going to be our show. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of FOMO Hour. We will be back on Wednesday to break down this Predict.Fun launch, all the action from today, and of course, our rollbit spins now tomorrow. So everyone, go have a great Tuesday. Let's make it a beautiful day. Goodbye.